Amazon is trying to take over the entire logistics game end to end. Earlier this year, I had talked about how Amazon had brought about the need for every single seller to upload their own sourcing cost into Amazon. And they had at the time said that this was to help them when it comes to reimbursements because they were no longer going to be reimbursing anything other than the actual manufactured cost of goods. However, I had mentioned at the time that I think this is more so a play where Amazon is trying to get more data around manufacturing costs so that they can essentially get into the manufacturing game themselves. And what do you know? I was not wrong. So as you can see, we have the manage your sourcing cost aspect, and everyone has had to, at this point in time, either accept Amazon's sourcing cost that they had their own data around, or you had to upload your own sourcing cost, which in turn gives Amazon more data around what things cost when it comes to manufacturing certain products. And now Amazon is sending out recently this. This is Manufacturing Central, essentially Amazon's new place where they can help you explore and discover manufacturers in India for your sourcing requirements, and specifically India. I think that's the most interesting part of this is that they are not doing China, they are not doing Vietnam, they are not doing Korea or South Korea or anywhere like that. They are doing specifically India for this to get started. So it's one of the really interesting things, and it goes to show that I think Amazon is essentially trying to make their play into controlling the entire process. What Amazon would love more than anything is essentially for you to source from their entire network of Indian manufacturers, end up getting, the entire design done by them as well by Amazon, because then Amazon owns the design in some capacity, similar to what they do. Have the supply chain go directly through Amazon's own supply chain, and then go to Amazon so that they can then sell the product and control the entire process. So I think this is really interesting. It starts off with apparel, furniture, home decor, home linen, kitchen, luggage, and office products. If you notice immediately on this, a lot of this is essentially really bad imagery and what you would typically assume to be like the worst kind of product photos on Amazon. None of these actually match Amazon's typical product photos that they would want, but they have a lot of different categories you can do. Essentially, what this will create is you creating an account under this, looking through manufacturers, trying to have a request with that manufacturer, and then finalizing it. And all of these manufacturers are essentially approved by Amazon, similar to any other service provider that they have. So the big question I think on everyone's mind here is, what does this really mean, right? What are we actually going to see on the Amazon front when it comes to manufacturing? Well, I don't think it's Amazon doing the manufacturing themselves just yet. I do think it is very similar to the service provider portal, but it's just for manufacturers. To be honest, in my mind, this is super surprising that they have just now started really promoting this in recent times. I should mention, manufacturing is not exactly new with Amazon. It is just something that they are recently promoting more and more to try and get people essentially within the entire platform. So I think it's kind of interesting across the board. I don't foresee this really going much of anywhere, because one of the things that's very interesting to me is that most people who are selling on Amazon already have a manufacturer. But I think it's interesting timing given the aspect of where we are in the political environment of our world, with tariffs everywhere, especially on China, and Amazon now has a little bit of a reason to try and push against all those tariffs and say, hey, don't do your Chinese manufacturers, come over and use one of our Indian manufacturers for our goods, and you might be able to get a better deal, and it'll just go Amazon Global Logistics straight into an Amazon warehouse. So again, Amazon is essentially trying to control the entirety of your business at this point in time. And so for some people, this may work. For me personally, I'm going to stick to sourcing my own manufacturing whenever I can. As much as I love the Amazon promise, so to speak, for essentially trying to control the entire system and making sure that things meet a certain quality standard, quote unquote, I don't know if I trust Amazon to basically own my entire business from the aspect of manufacturing all the way to the sourcing cost, to the design work, to then the fulfillment to my customers. On top of this, I think this just gives Amazon even more area to basically just take over your product. If you are a number one seller within a category at some point in time and you decide to use one of these manufacturings, what is stopping Amazon from enticing one of their Indian manufacturers to give them and start allowing Amazon to just produce an Amazon Basics version of this product, and Amazon starts selling it. And of course, Amazon isn't trying to do as much, but at the end of the day, I am not a big fan of this from the aspect of protecting your own business. I don't think that Amazon is doing this with the seller in mind in the slightest. It is very much a play, in my opinion, of essentially them trying to protect themselves, similar to what they were doing with the sourcing cost at the end of the day. And I think this also makes it so you can't lie about your sourcing cost, which I think they know people are doing. Now, the one thing I will say as a positive here is that this is definitely something, in my opinion, for new sellers. Realistically speaking, if I am a new seller and I am trying to get into e-commerce and I need to try and figure out where to source products, where to manufacture from, I don't know anything about sourcing, this is a great place to start. Honestly, I will say that first and foremost, this is a really, really great place to start. You'll get quotes from multiple factories. You know that they are trustworthy factories because Amazon has likely already vetted them for their manufacturing capabilities. You can get your own products designed there, as well as the entire aspect from design to delivery, as they say, for the products being customized. So, from a new seller perspective, I think this is really, really cool. I will say that I will give Amazon the benefit of the doubt to say that for new sellers, for people who have zero knowledge whatsoever within e-commerce or sourcing products, manufacturing, this is super cool. And I think that makes sense, especially when we look at historically, the last couple of years, Amazon has had a drop in number of new seller signups. And so this might be a play into that capacity. But again, from a standard, if you are already selling on Amazon, I don't think that this is going to be all that useful for you at the end of the day.